Kurross Empire emerged from the deep, endless pools of space, dark and undetectable. They crushed Earth's paltry fleet within a week and broke through the great planetary shield that protected the surface. Bright blue oceans turned to irradiated wastelands as they bombarded the planet, shredding the remnants of thousands of years of human history. Marcon, last captain of Earth's forces, made a final desperate attempt to survive, salvaging an abandoned world ship from hundreds of years in the past. She took command and headed to the fringe of the galaxy, where there was a chance to gain a foothold, grow in strength, and find new allies for the fight against the Kurross, Earth's longtime enemies. The Zune and Decima empires soon followed in their own world ships, leaving behind decimated worlds and lost families, determined to stake their own claim in the fringe. As you explore and interact with planets, you discover unfolding stories of the fringe. Each inhabited planet is home to a unique alien species with their own goals, values, and problems. Will you give aid by fighting off pirates, transporting goods, and curing strange diseases? Or will you invade and rule with cruel hands? This may be your last chance to prepare before the Kurross meet you again. So join us and take a first look at Empires of the Void 2. In Empires of the Void 2, you've been given a mission to establish a foothold at the fringe of the galaxy for your galactic empire. The game begins when your massive world ship reaches the fringe, where you must explore, wage war, use diplomacy, and construct buildings to gain victory. The fringe is sparsely populated, and the few local sentient species are struggling to survive, leaving huge regions of planets open for exploration and colonization. Many species are eager to ally themselves with a powerful empire to gain security and stability in a chaotic and difficult time. The board contains a number of planets consisting of two major types: large inhabited planets and smaller uninhabited planets. Both types of planets can be controlled by players. The smaller uninhabited planets are controlled the first time a player explores it, and control can change hands each time an opponent visits the planet. If it's left without defenses, control passes automatically, but if defenders are present, a battle occurs for control. Players can end their movement in orbit to complete delivery missions without having to fight for control. However, if a player ends on the surface region, a battle for control will take place. If the planet is uncontrolled, the player will fight one of the local inhabitants printed on the planet tile. If the player wins, they gain control of the planet. If the planet was already controlled by a player, control is determined in the same way uninhabited planets that are already controlled by players are. If defenders are not present, control transfers automatically. If defenders are present, a battle takes place. Note that if a player has influence on a planet, all of that player's influence are lost if they invade for control, even if control automatically passed. So what's influence? Influence is the other way players can earn victory points from the large inhabited planets and gain benefits of each planet's unique allies. Using diplomacy actions and completing certain missions will allow the player to place influence markers on the planet. The player currently having the most influence on the planet is considered allied with that planet's local inhabitants. Being allied grants the player access to recruit unique unit tokens from that planet and special abilities granted by having the ally. It is possible for the planet to be controlled by one player and allied with another. Only the allied player has access to the special units and ally ability. And remember, if a player attempts to take control of the planet, they lose all of their influence currently on the planet tile. Being allied with a planet also provides victory points at scoring. The game progresses as players select actions to perform during their turns. Each other player is allowed to execute the same action selected. pay to perform any action they choose, or refresh, gaining back their command points, generating income, and drawing cards up to their hand limit. Once each player finishes, play passes to the left and the next player must select a different action than the one previously selected. So if Lucas chose recruit during his turn, we would all have an opportunity to recruit, or we could pay to command to choose any other action we wanted to play, or we could choose to refresh and gain back command points, generate income, and draw up to our hand size. Play would then pass to me, and I would have to select a different action than recruit, as Lucas chose that one in his turn. The game tracks this by using a large action token to mark the action currently selected. Each time a player selects an action in their turn, the token must move to a different action. Let's take a look at the actions. Move and attack. This action lets you select a number of units in one region to form a group. The group is moved along lanes between regions of space or onto planetary regions. And the cost to move is one command each time you leave a region. Note that some units and abilities may grant free moves during the move and attack action. If a group ends its movement in a region with an opponent or a native inhabitant of a planet, a battle will take place. To resolve a battle, players select up to 3 units to form their force. If fighting the local inhabitants of a planet, only 1 local unit is used, but the player still selects up to 3 of theirs. Each unit in the battle will provide a number of dice, a power modifier, and some units may have a special ability. Both sides roll their allotted dice and take the highest value rolled. In this scenario, the local inhabitant has a special ability that if their opponent is rolling at least 2 dice, they roll 1 dice fewer. So my side would have 2 dice, plus 1 to make 4, her special ability giving me 3 dice rolled. The local inhabitant rolls 2 dice, keeps the highest. They then add the combined power attributes of their units to the dice value to determine the base combat score. The local inhabitant has 2 plus 1, and I have 5 plus 1 plus 2 more, making 8. The star sloop provides no bonus to my power. Once both sides have this, they select 1 power card and place it face down. This card will contribute power to their score, and the card will be discarded. Note that both sides must select a power card to contribute. If battling the local inhabitants, the player controlling them draws the top power card from the deck to act as theirs. Once both sides have selected a card, they are revealed and added to the base combat score. So in this case, I have a base of 8 plus 3, making 11. The local inhabitants have a base of 3 plus 4, making 7. The highest total score wins. In the case of a tie, the defender wins. Units owned by the losing player must retreat to the nearest controlled planetary region or the nearest space node if they don't control any regions. Since this planet in the example was uncontrolled, I would gain control of the surface. Research and build. This action allows you to purchase technologies on your player board or research spaces to make further buildings less expensive. Technologies grant special abilities to your race and cost different combinations of coins and resources. Another way to spend resources is toward making buildings cheaper. You may spend any number of resources from your supply to cover up spaces on the buildings. This essentially covers that space cost, so it will not be added to the total for construction. You may also construct buildings, as long as you have a place for them and can pay the cost. Note that your world ship can hold a number of buildings, and you may build on any planet you currently control as long as another building isn't already built there. Some special abilities do allow for more than one building to be built on a planet. Building buildings expands your income, hand limit, or command point pool depending on the type of buildings constructed. To construct a building, select the type you want to build and add all the visible cost along the track until you arrive at the first token. As you see, the more buildings of one type you construct, the more expensive they become. Again, this can be lessened by researching their tracks. To research a technology on your player board, you must pay the cost in the resource type and by discarding power cards equal to the required cost. Change will not be made for discarded power cards. Once researched, your race has access to that special ability of that technology. Also note, technologies provide victory points during scoring. To research the cost of buildings to make them cheaper, any resource can be used to cover up the space, beginning on the left and progressing to the right. While researching the cost of buildings, you can use any amount of resources you have available in your pool. Card actions or diplomacy. By taking this action, you can play a card action from your hand. In this case, the player would pay 1 command point and 2 credits to do this action. This action allows the player to place 1 influence marker on Mizel 3. The other part of this action is diplomacy. If you take this, you choose and play any number of power cards from your hand face up. In this case, Jo has chose to play 2 power cards equaling 5. For her diplomacy action, she rolls 1 dice, and she has scored equal to or lower than the value of the cards she played. Therefore, Jo can place 1 influence token on any inhabited planet on the board that she chooses. Recruit. Taking the recruit action allows the player to purchase units they have access to. In this case, Jolene could purchase a star sloop, a starfarer, or an allied unit that she has access to. She chooses to pay 6 credits to recruit 1 ally unit and 1 starfarer. These are placed on the board immediately after being purchased. Once paid for, immediately place the recruited units on the board. You can place recruited units on any region that contains your world ship or a planet you control that also contains a building. If you're the active player and choose to recruit, you may also draw 2 cards from the Empire deck, looking at them, choosing one, and discarding the other. Scavenge. The scavenge action mandates the active player to refresh. To refresh, you gain your income based on your income track, refill your hand up to your hand limit, and refill your command track. For the scavenge action, the other players can choose to follow and refresh themselves as well, or they can choose any other action to take at a cost of only 1 command instead of the normal 2. Scoring in the game can happen in one of 2 ways. Each player begins the game with a colonization card that they can play any time in the first half of the game. This allows them to immediately take a scoring phase at the end of that round. Otherwise, halfway through the event deck, a scoring card will come up. When this card comes up, all players who have not played their colonization card must take a scoring round at the end of this round. Let's talk about how the scoring occurs. First in scoring are the building tracks. In this example, Jolene has built a few cities, so she will gain 2 victory points for having built so far. Next comes technologies. We can see that Jolene has already developed 1 technology that's worth a victory point. Also, empire cards can be played during scoring. to gain extra victory points. In this example, Jolene's victory point card requires her to have 3 metal resources. She does, so she will gain an additional 2 victory points. The next part of scoring comes to the planets. First, we look at influence. In this example, Jolene has influence in Mizell 3 and in Kurross. She'll gain 3 victory points for Mizell 3 and 2 for Kurross. And finally, we do control cubes. I have my control cube on Mizell 3, so I'll gain 3 victory points for control there. While Jolene has control of Arzos, she will gain 2 victory points. Once the last card in the event deck is played, play continues until the player with the first player marker is the current active player. At that point, a final scoring round takes place, just like mid-game scoring. The most victory points wins, but in the case of a tie, the most units on the board wins, followed by influence on the board, and finally, the player with the most credits. Let's do a review of the map. The map consists of different locations in space known as regions. These can be as simple as empty regions of space, large inhabited planets, smaller uninhabited planets, or special features like the trade ship, wormholes, or space hazards. Ryan uses the Sarkeen Regency to limit the size of the board based on player count. The Sarkeen Regency is a powerful empire that existed in this region of space before the players made it here. The Sarkeen Regency can be attacked, but they are very powerful. Ending your move on the trade ship allows you to pay 2 credits to gain 2 random resources from the back. If you begin your movement on the wormhole region, instead of moving along the space lanes, you can go through the wormhole to the other one on the map for 1 command point. If you want to move through a space lane that contains a hazard, you must first pay your command point as normal and select the group you want to move. Then roll a dice. By rolling the amount indicated, 4+, I'm able to successfully traverse the hazard and move onto either the orbit or surface of Mizell 3. If I had rolled less, I wouldn't be able to move through that space lane yet, but I could spend another command point and attempt again by re-rolling the dice. This time, I'm able to move on to Mizell 3. The components in this deluxe edition are very high quality. As you can see, the selection of world ships are straight from the Laukat verse, and they're wicked hot. The metal coins come with the game, the deluxe version of the game, but cardboard components are included. Acrylic markers for the active player and for the round tracker, and all the cards are of standard quality that we've all come to expect in major market games. The acrylic markers for influence, control, even the dice are nice. And of course, the Fusion Beast. We hope you've enjoyed this first look of Ryan Laukat's new Empires of the Void 2. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. And we look forward to giving you playthroughs and our impressions video of such a wonderful game. For Roll to Hit Gaming, I'm Chip, and this is my little friend. We'll see you next time.